We're on. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Don't Panic Magazine. Episode Fran, aka Fran LeFern, aka FrancisDenkert.com. Hi, how are you? Welcome.
Hello.
Thanks for sitting down.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. You are inspiring. You are the blueprint for many people's capstones, whether you agreed to it or not. So many of us have had discourse backwards and forwards about your stuff, and you didn't know. So thank you.
I had no idea.
I've been seeing you, but I haven't been like I don't know what you're doing for work right now. Are you working? What are you doing?
I am finishing up my very last semester. I have just got one more elective to go, and then I'm done.
You mentioned before you were doing lithogram. Is what it
Yeah, lithography.
Lithography.
Yeah, which is I've never done that before. It's surprising that it was an elective because it's a very complicated printing process. You essentially draw onto a massive limestone block.
Yeah.
And then you use all these chemicals to catch only what you've drawn, and then you put it through a big press, and then you just get
There's lots of water and stuff involved as well.
yeah. So the liquid makes sure that it's catching all the white bits of the paper, and then what you're drawing with is essentially like a charcoal, but it's like a waxy charcoal, and so the wax only catches onto the ink.
Do you know how heavy the stones are? Do you need at least 2-3 people to move them?
Yeah, you can't pick them up. We have big trolleys that take them from desk to desk.
I watched, I think it was 2020, and I was really absorbed in TikTok, and there was this artist in I don't know if it was America or something, and she was at university, and she was doing that, and then I think that was actually what she was doing at university, so it was all her posts were. And I was just amazed at these beautiful illustrations and stuff that they're able to do. Yeah. Also, I didn't make point. We're at Fran's lovely abode. You can see the bottom of a booty. Amazed.
That's the only thing I like to draw.
Booties.
The female figure.
Booties and boobies. Yeah, no, this place is gorgeous. I'm always amazed. I haven't seen it in the daytime. And it's so much more homey than I was expecting. Matches your vibe amazingly.
Thank you.
And also, this is so off topic. Walk us through the fit. What are you wearing today?
Okay, today I'm wearing my loafers.
They're the docky ones?
No,
they
they are
really nice looking.
really nice looking loafers. Oh, from Radical Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, highly recommend. And then I'm wearing the skirt from Damps and Matter.
You skipped the socks.
The socks, sparkly socks from Gorman.
Okay, wow. This, yes?
Yes, the Damps and Matter skirt. And then my new I Love Pasta t-shirt from Soft Nice.
Yeah, love.
Soft Nice are amazing Melbourne-based company. They do really cool designs and collab with a lot of local Melbourne artists.
Is screen printing? Or is it press on? I can't tell.
I think it's the pressed, yeah.
It's still really nice. It doesn't look shiny.
No.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
And is it cos?
It is cos, yeah.
Just cos.
We love cos.
Fuck yeah. Jewelry?
Jewelry? I'm always cladded with rings. Don't come for me.
No, I really like them.
Yeah, so...
Are you silver more than gold?
Yeah, I'm a silver girly. On my ears, I like to mix up the gold and the silver.
Not on the fingies?
Not on the fingies. Yeah, there's some nice little gemstones in here. Mother of pearl.
Have you been doing... Last time I got to see work you were doing was at the pop-up thing we did after Melbourne Design Week with Nicola. Have you done anything like that since? Have you been doing anything like that?
That was my last, that was a small group exhibition. And at Melbourne design fair, we had a table and was selling some zines.
Cool.
And that was really cool. That was like, we were lucky to be a part of that. It was Ed Hubber, who was one of our lecturers at uni. He runs Ornate Gesture, which is his small printing company,
Yeah. And you got to
publishing company.
and they were publishing, and you could sell stuff. They didn't publish it per se, but they gave you like
No.
a place to sell.
Yeah, so he had his own work there, and then he had some student works.
Cute. Don't panic, but I'm gonna ask you a few questions. See what I did there? Have you always been a creative person?
Yeah, I think so. I've always just loved to be able to do things with my hands, and I've always just wanted to just chuck things on a canvas and mess around. And I actually, when I was in school, I was like, I'm going to be a lawyer. And look at me now. Stable job.
Just a bossy artist instead. Stable job. Fuck stable. Oh my god. Unhappy. My aunt's a lawyer, and she's doing very well for herself, but she knew she wanted to be a lawyer from like age 13. And I feel like that's usually the way. They either like, and also it's a very much a, this is your job, or like you do everything else with your life. You kind of have to, this becomes so much of you. So I don't think it's a bad thing that you've chosen what you've done. That question was interesting for other people as well, because like, is there a time, like a conscious memory where you're like, oh, I really like doing this, like as a kid? Like maybe like the first drawing that got put on the fridge situation.
Yeah, I was really lucky in like growing up in school. I had like really supportive teachers, and my dad is very into art as well. He's actually went on to be into mining, like a mining engineer. But we did a lot of drawing classes together growing up. Which was very wholesome. And it was really funny. Every time that we would go to a drawing class, they'd do like a life drawing.
Yeah.
And it would be like, oh, draw this scene with like this skull on the table and the fruits. And I would be there like doing all the rounded edges and the shading. And then I'd look over at my dad's easel, and he'd be like drawing the lines on the table. He was like, I need to get all the straight lines. So that's the mathematical brain, and this is
Yeah. Even the way that you were
loosey-goosey.
talking about doing this, like painting, I'm just like, I'm still not at that stage where I'm able to hold the brush and do that at all. That reminds me, I didn't even realize when I was going back through your catalogue, how like you've been doing painting for like so long. Like I was looking at some of your older stuff, because I'm so used to what you were making in our zine class, which was illustration based stuff and like publications. Obviously, you do paintings. Do you acrylic, oil?
Yeah, I used to do a lot of oil paintings. It was mainly oils and portraits. And then it just kind of became like, I can't do that in my bedroom because the fumes. It's just not really sustainable
Really
practice.
funny, because our last interviewee, Holly, we talked about how they've gone a bit bonkers because of all the turpentine. I was like, do you aerate that? Like, oh, I actually didn't know until you mentioned it to me, Tristan, last semester. And I was like, oh. And so we were talking about Mad Hatters and how like they used to get called Mad Hatters because the chemicals they used to use to make hats would also make people go nuts. Fran knows all this. What am I doing?
It's a dangerous business.
Painting, making hats, graphic design, all lead in the same direction. Death. What best describes you? I was trying to get into this magazine and like, who do I want to interview and who do we want to talk about? And I found it interesting that most of them have a core understanding of design, graphic design, some not, but most. And a lot of the time people end up not doing strictly graphic design after the fact, or even their main thing that they do. It's kind of serves as like kind of a baseline superpower to like amplify the stuff they do like either it's music or it's clothes and stuff. Would you describe yourself as a designer or like a set dresser, or would you see yourself as just a creative person? Like, what word comes to mind that you like? Not to label.
Predominantly my work now is illustration, and I think I had a different idea of what graphic design was before maybe we did the course, and now coming out of it and after doing a little bit of commission work and internships, I'm like, oh, maybe I don't really want to do that. I think it's like, I don't want to live a cookie cutter lifestyle, and I don't want to be thrown into the corporate world and just having to do
design,
like tick the box kind of design. And it's just like, it doesn't really align with my style, which is a lot of hand drawn stuff. So ideally I could get into publishing and, more publication design.
I really believe that a lot of graphic designers like to, or at least in our course, like have their, I don't know what the terminology is, but like have their hands in like lots of different pots. Like you may really enjoy the behind the scenes actions of like publication design, but then you'll do that to like fund your illustrations. Or Stuart, who's a tutor who does making books, he was telling about the fact that like even though he loves what he does, he constantly has anywhere between 5 and 10 books running at a time that he's working on. Not because like he wants to, I'm sure he does, but like to finance everything you need to do that. And I was like, wow, that's so. It's definitely not like an easy career path if you're not in love with it. But if it's what you like doing, like it's a good amount of stress. I found like even doing this, like it's super stressful, but like the most rewarding thing I've done, and I'm sure it's going to feel even like more amazing, like when you physically have something as well to look at.
Yeah.
So yeah, would you say Illustrator then at the moment?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah?
But like off of what you were saying, I think that also like having your fingers in lots of different pots, I think that comes with the nature of the work and the nature of being a creative person. I think, you often find your best ideas when you're working on a lot of different things and you do have some kind of pressure.
Yeah, annoyingly. I wish it wasn't that way because I don't know if you share this, you're not, obviously not actually, but I'm so unable to get the same level of work done for my private stuff that I would spend on university, even though like it's so weird. I feel like it's a different person working on it, where I can make all these things, but I have this weird feeling that the moment I get home from university or when the degree is done, all of a sudden I'm going to forget that I know how to do all this stuff. It's a kind of a weird headspace, I think, because of the way you can go to university and you kind of become that designer. And so I think removing ourselves from those workspaces comes with like anxiety of like, am I still going to be a designer now because I don't have reassurance from tutors saying your work's so amazing. It's going to start this new battle of explaining and proving and showing why you're good. Not that you have to, but it's definitely going to feel like you have to. Yeah, slay. I was talking to, funnily enough, Herman Studios, and Griffin was saying that even though he did exactly our course and now makes clothing and does all of those things, he would describe himself as an artist. I was like, that's really interesting. Like, why an artist? He goes, well, I don't like the feeling of like labeling myself to any one thing because I want to explore more things. And I was like, that's such a common denominator. Love. I don't even need to get that close for it to be loud. For me, yeah, I thought this was interesting. So you studied something else before design. In fact, you worked in a separate creative industry kind of entirely. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, my first degree was costume and set design, which is like, yeah.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah,
it sounds really fun.
It was really fun. I studied that at Whopper in
Perth.
WA. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up in Perth.
Roger.
And yeah, worked for a couple of years doing that.
Is that a long stay at university?
It was 3 years.
Okay,
at
normal
uni.
amount.
Yeah. But that was a completely different ball game. It's very much like you have to be. There's a lot of pressure because then you're dealing with real world money and which I'm sure I'm going to find out about like when I start doing this stuff. But it's when you're the designer for a show and
is it not a team?
No, oh well, you have
sometimes.
Sometimes. So it's usually one designer for the sets and then one designer for the costumes.
Right, yeah.
Some of the shows I was doing both designing the sets and the costumes, and then you have a team of like the production team who then takes your crazy vague ideas and then actually makes it work.
Stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have a preference on like sets or fashion?
I definitely preferred set design because I could just like see the shapes better in my head, and I think that's kind of what took me to liking graphic design. And it's the same idea of taking a brief and then making a visual story out of it. Like you're taking the script and you're analyzing it, and then you're saying, how can I represent this visually to tie in with what is happening on stage?
Yeah, yeah, completely. I didn't even think about that. I feel like a really fun thing that you'll probably find that you've already maybe experimented with, that I found when I was doing interior design, that correlates with graphic design, is like the love for installations. I feel like in the future, like when we have more works or whatever it is, like the idea of being able to have the foresight to like look at a space or an interior and be like, oh, I want to dress it like this, and create, like it's a different type of graphic design, or it's still design as itself. But I can imagine that with all of your works and your paintings, well, it's evidenced by your home, like you set dressing, like graphic design, it's still all kind of asking the same things of you. But yeah, off track. But yeah, I'm just saying I would love to see how you find doing like installations with your work in the future, like your own actual thing.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in taking illustration work and putting it on a large scale, like large scale drawings.
Would you do live drawing?
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would, because I love life drawing, like drawing from, a life model. And one of our amazing lecturers, Nicola Hardy, we both did Prince Not Dead with her. She's incredible.
Love you.
She does amazing works where she's done like the 10-meter long drawing.
Yeah.
And from her train journeys. And so she'll sit on the train and draw like immediately what she's seeing, and then paste it all together to this like one large scroll. And I find that really incredible.
I wanted to go. Where was that gallery? She had a showing of it. I did not see it.
Yeah, it was out at a winery. I didn't get to see it.
I didn't get to see it either.
Sorry, Nicola.
But I know about it.
Yeah.
I've made reference to Nicola so much throughout this process, because she's definitely, I don't know about for you, we probably got to meet then as well, but like one of my like, I don't know, I realized that I liked the course, or that it was for me, because she gave me for the first time a sense of like community. And I found that like with design and being a creative person, it doesn't always click until you find that sense of community, because everyone, off the bat, well, not everyone, but a lot of the time, if your family doesn't get it and you're brought up in it, when you're trying to experiment with it, it can be quite isolating, especially if you're from like not normal communities, like also if you're from like queer communities and stuff, like that added to it, it can feel very scary. And so Nicola for me was like the first time that I'd seen like maybe an older person that was like reminded me of myself when I was younger, who was just having fun and like really excited to be there, like wanted to make things, kind of gave me like a chance, talked to me like eye to eye instead of like talking down to me, which I feel like is so, I've gotten so used to with peers in like retail jobs or in hospitality jobs. You're thinking, yes boss, whatever, yep, yes sir, whereas even though this person was my tutor, just mutual respect along the board.
Yeah. And yeah, she's also an incredibly supportive person as well. Like you would have the work in class, but she would bring such excitement to it as well that I remember I hadn't like probably made any kind of publication or zine before that class. And I went up to her, I was like, literally, how do I fold a piece of paper?
Yeah.
She's like, no, okay, let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's
and
make
then
it fun.
that created my absolute love and obsession with zines. And once that clicked for me, then I was like, oh, I've got so much freedom now, and I can literally make anything I want. And she was there like every step of the way, being like, yes, do it. Yes, apply for this. Yes, do this. Do this show. Like this is happening. Go to Sydney. Like this is like all over the state. So, yeah.
Love you, Nicola.
I love you, Nicola.
She's basically the spawned this capstone as well.
She's the design mum.
Okay. Oh yeah, I was going to ask, during that period when you were doing set dressing and everything, were you also like drawing slash painting as well? Like you've
Yeah.
been doing it for ages?
Yeah, I've been doing it for ages. There was also a lot of large scale painting, so like set painting involved in that. And I got to do one mural, which is at, I don't know if it's still there. It was at Curtin University in WA, and that was my first kind of like installation piece, I guess, in the real world. But being able to do large scale paintings helped me with the smaller scale work because you have to have a lot of freedom in your whole body. It's really interesting. You have to paint. My teacher told me to paint from your elbow instead of from your wrist.
Okay.
Because you can get really restricted if you're just moving like this, but if you're moving from your elbow and your shoulder, you can get wide sweeping motions, and then
That's
you
helpful,
more
obviously, for scale.
yeah, for scale. But then you can also apply that to smaller scale things, and then you get just more interesting lines and fluid movement.
I was going to say, I assume that you'd get like stronger continuous lines because working with like pencil for so long, I was doing that thing where I would just like do the little etches over and over, and then I would line over it, and like gaining the confidence to just like whoop.
Yeah, it's all confidence, and then not getting RSI.
What is that?
Oh, that's like carpal tunnel, which I have had twice now.
That's really weird. You're like turning 17 next week. Holy shit.
I went to my physio and he was like, "Oh, you're a designer, aren't you?" I was like, "Yes." He was like, "You're all screwed."
Oh my God. I mean, I've been needing glasses since I was like this big. But I thought I looked really weird with them. And so I decided instead of continuing to wear my glasses, I would stop reading.
Did it work?
Yeah, I stopped. Yeah, I stopped reading. I used to read like Elizabeth Blyton's like Secret Seven, The Magic Faraway Tree, and I read these big books, and I loved those adventures with them. And I used to listen to the audiobooks and their little English accents. And oh, can I have a scone, please? No, not a problem. Oh, lovely. And I was like, oh, I love this. This is my thing. And then I got to a certain year in primary school. My eyes, I get headaches. So they gave me these glasses that made me look so bad.
Your first pair of glasses are always the worst.
And they let me
It's
pick
a
them.
curse.
They let me pick them. And they came in the green OPSM case. They had the magnets that would like... and I thought, I remember first day of school, I put them on. And I'm like, guys, like, do I look good? No. And I took them off immediately. And I just didn't see anything. But I don't know if you do it, because we stare so much at the screen, blue light, I really want to get blue light glasses. Not for when I'm designing stuff, because I need to see the colours, but for everything else, because we spend so much time staring at them.
I have found that I have bad eyesight. I've always had bad eyesight. And I also didn't want to wear my glasses in school. And so I would just learn how people would walk. Like, I would be like, oh, like, study their gait. And then I just see this blurry blob walking towards me. And it's like, oh, like Kate drops her shoulder. Hey, Kate.
No, it's like you bump into someone like years down the track from like that time and you don't recognize them. You're like, oh, wait, looking for the shoulder drop. Oh my God, it's so nice to see you.
But my eyesight has gotten a lot worse, especially over COVID, because we're on the screen so much.
The only two people in COVID that had their cameras on when we were talking to our tutors. I've since been thanked by tutors that I didn't think knew who I was. They were like, thank you so much for your service. I'm like, that's okay. I just wanted everyone to see how pretty I was before COVID ruined me.
Yeah, I wasn't looking at them. I was looking at myself in the camera.
Yeah, I was. I had the cameras off. I remember I was making breakfast with my mic muted, and I ended up talking about what I was making for breakfast for the first 15 minutes of class because no one else was talking, and the teacher was like, fuck it, like, this is more interesting than what I have to say. Cute. Has set design helped you with your graphic design? I wonder if there's been anything that, like, comes over.
I think it's mainly the overarching approach, how you approach a brief. Because you have to, with set design, you have to think very broadly, and you can't, you don't want to present things literally. So you want to kind of be able to analyze like what's the root of what they're trying to say. And I think that comes across to like when you're dealing with a client or a brief, you know, it's like, oh, this is what they're showing you, but it's like what is under that. And then if you can work that out, then you get a more meaningful design afterwards. You know, it's like if you're telling a story, then more people can connect with that.
Yep.
And it has more layers to it.
I found that the same for me. But my main takeaway from interior was that I was able to infer briefs, because before doing anything like creative in a university scale, you don't really get briefs. You don't really know what they are, how to interpret or how to read them. And most of the time, at least at university, like there's no wrong answers, but there's like wrong answers. And so having that boost when you get into graphic design, so helpful, literally so helpful. Also, you're allowed to talk over me. You don't have to wait for me to finish. Cut me off because I'll ramble. Because I'll be waiting for you to speak, and I'm like, oh, I'll keep going. What was
You have
it?
interesting things to say.
Thank you so fucking much. Also, we're allowed to swear. I want to get Fran cussing on cam. Ooh. God. Yeah, I'm glad to know that. Was there any design elements that came across? Like I was wondering, like is any design thinking the same other than just the briefs being able to understand? It's just totally different.
No, I think a lot of it is the same because when you're in the design stage for like set and costume, you're working with color, line, shape, form. You know, it's the exact same design principles.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I think I've got my next job fucking sorted, guys. That's the question. Do you find it advantageous being a mature age student? Not a mature age student.
I'm not a mature age student!
During your recent
young!
degree. No, but like, did you find it any different from maybe the first time you're at university being like not the same age? Because like I found it different being like 22 starting this, no, 21 doing this degree instead of being like 18.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I did my first degree and then I had a couple of years working and then I was like, oh, this is not for me. And then I pivoted.
No money.
Yeah, no money. No sleep, no money.
No sleep, no money.
And then I worked hospo. I just like, that's all I did. And that was some dark times.
Every artist is like coffee dark period where they're just making coffees for everyone.
I hate my life.
That's how we all get so like stuck up. It's like we know the smell of the beans, we know when it's burnt, because we've all had to work there and hated and resented that job, and then decided to go to university.
We've all been screamed at. Yeah, I got to a point where I was like, oh, I need to do something with my life.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh fuck it, I'm moving to Melbourne. And then
The big city.
the big city, the big smoke.
The big smoke.
And then 2 months later, I was on a plane. I was like, oh, okay, let's do this.
Yeah, slow.
And I think that made me approach this degree being like, oh, well, if I'm doing it a second time, I'm gonna go the full way. Yeah. And then I think, I don't know, depressing to say, but like having absolutely nothing to do when you're stuck inside your home made me actually do really good work because I was like, I have no distractions.
Oh, I can't relate at fucking all. My first real studio was with you.
Yeah, it was.
And that set me on like a path for success. That was the most amazing studio.
Yeah. And I should clarify, like good work. No, it probably wasn't good work, but it was I was very involved with the work. And is that a good
you
thing?
have to sit down with it.
I don't know if that is a good thing because I look back on the works that I did do in like first year. I was like, would I ever show anyone that? I think when I look at your work, you can see that you can approach more of like a corporate style of design with a more interesting background, like you can bring interesting ideas and ways of presenting design into like what you would think would be like a bland idea. And if you can have different styles and different skills, then you can pick and choose what you want from all of those different things,
Yeah.
and then kind of like meld it together.
And it works. It really does
it
work.
works.
You don't have to choose, which is why I feel like I do this degree. I didn't want to
Yeah.
choose what I wanted to do. I wanted to do it all. And I found that it's like a superpower, this degree. Like it's such a base thing. You can support your music degree, music career, photography, you can make clothes, you can be a tattoo artist. I met tattoo artists that have done our degree. Like it's pretty boundless.
Yeah, and I think that's what I love the most about the idea of being a designer, is that there's no direct career path. Like you can take it wherever you want. But it's also kind of like the most intimidating thing, because it's like once you're graduating, you're just like, oh shit, now what?
What direction? The question of what are you going to do, get a job, like question is haunting, because it's like, I don't know, it's probably going to change after I get that one as well.
Yeah.
It's a message to you, Grandma. I love you, Donnie, but I don't know what I'm going to do after this.
Don't ask me.
I'm going to keep living. That's the plan. That's literally the plan. Oh yeah, I was just curious about the workload differences. Like, what's the workload? Maybe like a timeline for executing a brief versus like a set dressing gig. Like, how is that different? From like brief to execution, like it's done.
Yeah, I think well, with set design, I mean, I haven't done it for a long time now, but you go through the design process for maybe like 2 months, and then you get it to the stage where you've got your working drawings, and then it gets sent off to be built, and then from then on you're just overseeing the process, whereas with what we do, it's kind of like start to finish. There's changes all the way through.
Correct. Yeah. And it can be long and it can be short.
Yeah.
Depending on like what they need. Yeah, I agree. I'm just curious. I knew that it takes a long time, but some people have no idea, which is the damn point. Oh yeah, this was a question that I had more for me. Did you find it around this time easier to explain to your family and friends what you're doing? Because I know that a lot of the time, if you're the first creative person or the first person doing this degree or what type of thing in your family, you're kind of trying to explain what it is, and then they only understand it when you associate it with a career. Did you find it easier this time round, or was it easy the first time round?
No, it was a lot easier this time.
Cool.
It was not easy the first time. God bless my parents for just being patient with me.
Yeah, round two.
Round two. I think they find the idea of graphic design having that's a desk job, and yes, you'll get a steady payment plan from that. I'm like, I think they're gonna there'll be a rude awakening for them soon. Sorry. Sorry guys.
My perspective on graphic design, I always see it like, I think from when I did interior, it was so involved with people. I would love to do that. Like, I guess I want to do a freelance work, but I would love to work for a studio that allows like less meetings, more visitations. Like, all right, if we're designing something, visiting the space that we're talking about, like I really like the idea of going on location for things, or if we're having meetings, peer-to-peer meetings, I feel like that's so invaluable in like our online world, especially from learning at university how detrimental, quick meetings online, that's fine, but it's so important for like creativity to get a vibe for the person.
Yeah.
That's really something that I want to look for, and if I don't find, I'm probably going to have to do my own studio at some point.
Well, that'd be cool.
I would love to.
I would love to do my own studio as well. I also want to, my big dreams.
Oh my God.
I want to maybe start like a publishing house, get a risograph press, just have like a spot where I can just have total creative control. Yeah.
We did a studio, we talked about this, we did a studio together, aptly named Prince Not Dead. How has zine making affected your understanding of what graphic design is? So like after that studio, what imprint did it have on you for like the rest of your work that you do? You kind of already talked about it, I guess.
Yeah, I think it completely changed it. I was doing a lot of digital illustration, and I still do. And I actually think that kind of changed like when I was doing capstone. That's kind of like off topic to what you asked.
No. That's fine.
But my capstone was creating a suite of editorial illustrations, which is what I really want to end up doing. And I was doing a lot of that work digitally, and then I found that I was feeling really creatively restricted just like working with the iPad, and I was like just really struggling to come up with ideas. And then I ended up just like chucking the iPad to the side and getting back to physical drawing with pen and paper. And that's the same with zines. It's like there's no real limit to what you can do with paper.
Yeah.
You can do so many interesting folding techniques.
Do you have it here?
I do have this little one
Oh, can we
here.
please? Let's do a
Okay, let's
live.
grab it. A live reading.
Live reading of. Do you have any more of these from that class, or that was the main?
This was my big one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's look at the big one.
This is teeny tiny little zine called Albert Street Wanderings, and it's a booster fade and fold. Thank you. Which is also called As the Ox Plows. And so it's A3 and then cut and folded down to a little square, and then it magically folds out like this.
It has a product show mode if you want to show it, but I also will probably put it in the mag. But it's just, wow. I was so...
Yeah, we can do an overlay or something.
This blew our minds when we saw this.
It's hard to hold up like this, but it's essentially a psychogeographic mapping of my street between Lygon and Sydney Road. And I'm really interested in that idea of mapping the area that you live in and creating a different understanding of what you're physically seeing in the world, and then how you also relate to that and find pieces of home in that. And so you can fold this kind of a infinite amount of ways, and you can find hidden pieces of drawing. So like if I fold it like this,
And that kind of like links up, it lines up.
yeah, it lines up and creates new images within it. We can show you later.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, that was my most exciting thing that I made.
That really, I'm so glad I didn't decide to do something in that field for that class, because it would have been like so fucking disheartening. I'm so glad that I did. I was like, stick to what you know. I'm going to make a photo zine, and no one else did what I did, and no one else did like the volume, because I did like 200 pages.
And it was amazing.
Thank you. But I was like, this is so nuts. Like, it felt like mathematical to me.
It was.
Yeah, it started to get over to that point where I was like, oh, like visually this looks good, but the planning would hurt my head.
Yeah, it caused a meltdown.
Yeah. You didn't. You were saying before, you definitely didn't, what's it called? Like, go short with it. You definitely, like, went all the way and tried to make something, like, really interesting. I feel like, for me as well, I wanted to, like, impress Nicola.
Yeah.
I was like...
That's all I wanted to do. I
was like, do you like this? This is why I put lots of photos of myself in my zine. I was like, look how pretty I... Nicola, do you like this?
Do you want to be my best friend?
Nicola, let's get coffee, please. Okay, really fucking cool. Oh yeah, we can talk about this part now. You've also been able to sell some of your works, both at zine fairs and small community showings.
And you've bought some of my work. Thank you very much.
Obviously. I was going to say, how have those experiences been? Yeah, you know, how has that been? And then we can maybe talk about some of the stuff that you have here, if any of it's from that. But yeah, what's it been like selling stuff? I'm sure privately is one way to do it, but like when you've been in the community and been able to sell it, what's it like?
Trying to sell privately is terrifying. And I haven't done a lot of that. I think being able to go to zine fairs is the best thing ever. It's stressful, like trying to create, you know, multiple publications and multiple copies and get it all packaged and ready, and then you sit down on the day and you go, oh my god, what if everyone hates it and just walks past my table?
Yeah, and you're like trying to work out pricing, and you compare, and the comparison is like the thief of joy at those things as well.
But I think the most fun thing about zine fairs is that you're not there for the money. You know, like you're there for the love of it, and everyone else is there for the love of it. And if you can kind of keep that mindset of like, oh, whatever, I'm here and I just want people to enjoy the work, it's so fun and you meet so many amazing people. And yeah, it's just like you're spreading joy and that's so wholesome.
It definitely feels like at this earlier stage as well, just having people owning or having something of yours cost wise doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, my thing that I made is in someone's home and is or is not being appreciated. That's separate. Like, at least it's there. Like, it was appreciated in that moment. They wanted to take it home with them.
Yeah, it's not collecting dust like in my bedroom.
Or just sitting on your desktop.
Yeah.
Which so much stuff is.
Like, yeah, just being able to like put your work out there and having someone pick it up, even if they don't buy it, if they pick it up and be like, oh, this is cool. And you're like, oh, that's awesome.
Damn. Yeah, I need to. I unintentionally I guess I do intentionally. I gatekeep all my work because all my stuff is uni work. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, how am I going to sell this? I couldn't really, in my mind. There's some things I need to like refine, but I think this one would lend itself to like a small run.
Yeah.
I think it could be fun. 6 people's a decent amount, but I have a feeling that I'll end up spending more time on it if I wanted to do a released print because I've got like 20 days. Yeah, like 20 days from now till then to have like a printed version of it.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Yeah. And I
You
want
can do
to.
it.
Thank you. I gotta.
Look, it gets done one way or another.
Yeah, I mean, my mindset is that I made a 500-page photo book in 2 days.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, wow, that's really good. How did you do that? And I
If
was
you
like,
could do anything, you are very good under a tight deadline.
it's so annoying because I wait.
It's annoyingly your magical superpower.
Yeah, and the thing is that when I give myself time, I get very lost.
Yeah.
I had time to make a cover and I was like, oh, I could do this, I could do that. And like somehow the creativity is like not as because there's more anxiety because there's more time.
Yeah.
Whereas like the
The
decision
terror of choice.
Yeah, exactly. And the decision making kind of is made for me when there's less time.
Yeah.
But I need to get better at that, and that is I'm sure it's going to come with doing it for a living because you don't have time to fuck around with people.
No.
And people are going to start to realize, oh, this person is a bit wobbly and doesn't get back to me or didn't follow up, etc., etc., etc. Things we're going to learn. Do you agree that design is something that transcends age? As in, do you believe it's a universal language? Like we were talking about community. I feel like for the first time, unlike how like math is or like something where it's like it changes over time, I feel like the design language is something you can talk to an older designer and still have stuff in common.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way?
Yeah, definitely. And
Good
I think a
examples?
lot of it is, you know, the incredible part of it is that it's a visual language. And so you don't even need words
True.
to understand. You know, you can look at something and draw your own meaning from it. And that can be different from the person sitting next to you, depending on their context and their culture and their personal history. But yeah, it brings people together and it can create a dialogue and controversy and yeah.
Cool. I agree. I feel like it takes. Everyone has kind of like their own human experiences, but I feel like it's very human to like look at art and look at design, and a lot of the time we're a lot more similar than we realize, and like there'll be overlaps in like feelings or things that have happened with the artwork, and you can draw from that. And a lot of the time, I feel like that's why artists don't attach a meaning to their stuff because they may have felt one way about it when they made it, and then that changes, and they want the same for other people.
Yeah. And it's the same with that I found when I was doing the suite of editorial illustrations. When you're reading an article and you're thinking, oh, how can I represent this in a visual way that's not like a direct line that's like very literal or linear to what the text is saying. And so you're reading the article and then you say, oh, how does that make me feel, or what are they trying to say, what are the overarching themes, and then you create an image from that, and you should be able to look at the image and know what it's about or know what it's trying to say, and then you read it and then you can find more meaning in the image after that. So it's like it's like a cycle.
It's a cycle, yeah. It's a full thing, yeah. I've also with like having the tutors like Nicola and Stuart, finally I feel like I'm just talking to. It feels like I'm talking peer to peer when I'm talking about design. Even like the level of experience doesn't change like the understanding in some way. Like they may have had X amount of time and experience, but that you're kind of born with this like taste for stuff, and the taste is the mutual thing where you can be like, oh, that looks really good. I like it for this reason, and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I so love that about what we do. It's just, yeah, it's the comparison I was making recently was like how a lot of our age groups, our communities are centered around, even though people hate it, like waiting in line for coffee or like going to like restaurants or luncheon spots, and it's like you have to wait, or like clothing store things and it's like packed. And I was saying it's kind of a comparison to what Sunday church used to be for like our parents and grandparents, and like that was where they learnt community.
Yeah.
Whereas our age group, it's like not driving everywhere, but going to like local such and such and meeting people, and it's the same for design. You can kind of communicate. Anyway, that's how I feel. Talking about my feelings. This is kind of like a more of a technical question, I guess. Would you say like what was one of your favorite briefs, and like maybe could you walk us through from like the idea part of it all the way to like execution for like an example brief for someone to understand what we do?
Oh, that's a hard question.
It doesn't maybe have to be a favorite one, but maybe if you can, maybe just name bang favorite brief, and then maybe talk about your design process.
I think what I had the most fun with was that zine, the Booster Fading zine. And I actually don't even remember the brief for that, but that was like just create a...
It was making something desirable.
Yeah, making something desirable. Yes. And so my idea was that was what is desire? Is it like something holding something in your hand? And if it's like creating a window, I had this idea initially. I was like, oh, windows, like if you can find something and then see something else and then look through and keep finding small details. When I was a kid, I really loved those I Spy books.
Yes, same.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, if I can do something where you can look at something and feel slightly overwhelmed and then spend like maybe an hour with it.
Yeah, you don't get everything at first glance.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I didn't even think about that. Like the 3D nature of your 2D pieces of paper where you can kind of like actually look through it, because if you fold it up, you could probably make a structure with it.
Yeah, you can. And on the reverse side, so I printed it in Rizzo, and the reverse side is just like the outlines of the buildings in color. So it's like if you were to flip it over, it would be the exact same building in reverse, but with the people inside. So I was thinking like the inner and outer lives of the street. And yeah, you can fold it in lots of different ways and find little things. And I was interested in the idea of creating almost like a living thing, you know, it's like it's mapping, but it's I think that's also the idea of psychogeography. So you're mapping your area and you're following just where the feeling is taking you.
Right.
And so you can physically do that by rotating and folding the zine. And so you can like find like, you know, buildings are flipped upside down. If you have the zine, then you can also just go to Albert Street and follow along and be like, oh yeah, that's
Here and here
that's
and
PK
here.
Jules on Sydney Road, and oh, that's the pub on the corner of Lygon Street, and oh, that's that. You know, someone's been like, oh, that's my house.
Don't come to Durant's house.
My house is not in it.
You're not invited.
I'm just exposing everyone else.
Everyone else's house is there. No, oh yeah, true. Choice of Arne's house is on there. Because everyone likes to go to Troy Sivan's fucking house.
Everyone knows where he lives.
Poor Troy. I mean, it's a beautiful house. You've done a couple commissions. I would say rather than briefs, what's your most challenging maybe commission? Like your first maybe experience with like a design or graphic design commission?
I've been pretty lucky with my commissions where I haven't had like a horror one yet.
It's good that you've been able to like take on ones that you want to do then.
Yeah. I think I was working with my cousin Emma, and she does marketing and design, and I
That's
got
right.
to design a range of baby nappies, which was
remember.
really cute. And so that was like, that wasn't challenging because they actually the client gave me a lot of freedom, and they liked my illustration.
But it was like the first time, so
It was
therefore
the first, so that was scary because I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God, this is like a real life product.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's kind of surreal that it's like just sitting in Coles. You're like, what?
Yeah, I can't imagine. No, I completely understand what you mean. It may not have been the most technically difficult, but like,
But the
oh,
terror of me then being like, oh, how do I make sure that everything is actually going to be correct and to spec, and
the file sizing,
the file
name,
sizes,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
how to do any of that.
yeah.
And I've still got so much to learn with that because that's scary.
We learnt some of that doing design LTD. That's what that Dan Smith, he runs that. He's part of both studio, and he ran us through from the ideation stage to making a brand style guideline to then making not only like what to present a finished presentation for a client, but then how you should lay out your folders, what files they should be, what resolution, what they should. Now I don't remember exactly, but like we did do that, and I was like, wow, this is such invaluable information. I'm so scared to go in real life because I don't know if I can regurgitate that. I was also talking to Griffin again, and he was talking about the first time that he had a sit down with a client, and he made a point that the way we learn it at RMIT is the right way to do it, and it is really beneficial, which is sitting down, getting your sources, kind of working out, all right, what do you want here? They give you a bunch of stuff and references, and you're like, okay, can you pick a color, a type, a reference so that we can get it? And you may make what they've asked for, and then they'll come back to you and be like, no, I want something else that I haven't shown you. And there's all this expectation for people that aren't in design to you to understand what's in their head.
Yeah.
And then also most clients not realizing that what's in their head might always not be the best thing that's for them.
Yeah.
But that's the discourse and something that you learn with the
And
experience.
a lot of people knowing exactly what they don't want, but then they don't know what they do want.
Yeah, there are lots of no's.
Yeah.
You have to get, I feel like this degree or creative industry, if you're working with people, you have to get very used to rejection.
Yeah.
And not in like a saying it's bad, like it's not, I think it's a good way to weaponize rejection, and over time there'll be less and less and less.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, I feel like having a more of a catalog of work, people will come to you for that work anyway.
Yeah.
And so then you'll be fine, hopefully. So I assumed it was the first one. I remember that. I was so jealous. I was like, why can't I be working on something real? I don't want to yet. It's actually too scary.
It's too scary. I need someone to hold my hand.
No, like literally. What are you going to do after you graduate? It's so soon.
I know it's very soon.
I'm going to ask you the parent question. So what's after graduate? Are you getting a job? Have you got any immediate plans? It doesn't have to be... No. And when I say immediate plans, I mean like not design related. Like what are you thinking? Are you going to take a break? Are you going to just like hang out? Are you going to like it's been... Were you at this degree? You were at 4 years as well,
yeah,
like me?
4 years now.
Yeah, same.
It's been a very long 4 years.
Yeah, I've been technically with RMIT on and off since like 2018. So it's not been 6 years of study, but it's been 6 years of this.
Yeah. It feels weird because, I mean, I finished up all of my core design units end of last year.
Yeah.
And so that kind of felt like the end of the degree for me. And then I just had electives to finish off this year. So it's been a weird floaty, you're not really fully involved.
Yeah, you're not doing design strictly.
Not strictly design. And so it feels weird to now, because I've also only got one elective to finish. So it's like, in a couple of weeks, I'll just hand it in and be like, oh.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Thank you, Fran.
And then be done.
I think it'll feel real when we're at the little ceremony with our hats.
Yeah, I agree.
I hope the hat fits my head. I've been thinking
I've got a big
about
head.
That. So do I. And we have thick hair.
I know. We call it in my family the Danket head. It's just a different sized head. It's just enormous.
No one else's head in my family is my size. And I'm like, this is really difficult. For the last one I shot, we were putting on crochet hats that Holly made. For the whole interview, I was wearing a crochet hat. And we had to go through like 3 before one got over this portion of my crown of my head. And I was like, oh, this is the biggest one I have. Try this on. And I was like, She's like, okay, really, well, obviously isn't the biggest one I have. I'm so sorry. And to do that to you, to really like put you out high and dry. And I'm like, that's fine. Like, I don't mind.
We've just got big brains.
I'm thinking about stuff.
Yeah.
Too much.
There's a lot of going up.
I got a good, sorry.
A whole lot of nothing.
Well, not to brag, at my age, and your age of just sweet 16, we got our hair still. Thank fucking God.
What the hell?
I know.
I feel like you're painting me as a picture as an old crone.
I'm joking. My reason.
Fountain of youth.
No. Oh my God, yes. No, but my reason for saying that is I'd recently looked up some old high school people, and we're all like 24, and there's more than like I think out of the 6 I looked up, 4 out of the 6 no hair.
I went to my hairdresser a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, Chloe, I've got my first grey hair. Well, there's like, lucky for me, it's like white, which is like, that's slay. I'm excited for white hair.
With the texture of your hair would be nice.
Yeah, and then she was like, oh no, babe, there's a lot more in here. I'm like, okay. Yeah, just like really just like punch to the chest. Don't lie to me at all, please.
Just to specify, Fran is in her 20s.
Yeah,
I'm taking the piss. I'm taking the absolute fucking piss. I am so sorry. Not to be ageist at all, though. Oh my God, I know how it feels to. Because I stopped going out, and then I would go out, and I was like 22. I wasn't even old. And someone, like, I'm literally, like, 22 was a baby, and they come up to me, and I'll be like, oh, I'm 22. Oh, you're really old. What are you doing here, mate? I'm like,
when did this happen?
I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean I was doing here? I'm like, what are you doing here? 22's not that. Oh, so I stopped going out. It was too much. It was too confrontational. You killed it. Until next time, guys. Is there any? That was brilliant. That went so quickly. Honestly,
Thanks so much for having me.
Oh my God, thank you so much.
That was so fun.
I have to read Fran.
Yeah, who's here again?
Until next time, thank you so much, Fran. This has been Don't Panic Magazine. You can find me online at Tristan Maloney. I've been your host. You can find Fran at Fran Lefern on Instagram. And, oh my God, what was the other one it's called?
FrancisDankert.com.
FrancisDankert.com. And there's also a few other art accounts on Instagram, but they're all linked to each other. Or maybe another zine fair in the future.
Yep.
Or this won't come in time for you to see it, but at the grad show, are you going to do show stuff at the grad show? You elected to do that? No.
I've had my grad show.
Oh, yeah, you did. Yeah, okay.
But it wasn't a grad show. We won't talk about that.
We don't talk about Flock Off. Sorry, Susie.
Sorry, Susie. I love you, Susie.
We love you, Susie. This camera. Tell the people what you got going on. What's next?
What is next? Next, I am getting into pottery. I'm getting into hand building. She's getting physical, working with my hands.
Really? Are you going to like pay for a course?
Recently did some wheel throwing course at 1280 Studio in Coburg. Go check them out. They're amazing. And I've got a big chunk of air dry clay here.
Wow.
I want to get into some sculpture stuff, obviously more zines and more prints, risograph stuff. I want to experiment doing like 5-color riso, go crazy.
Damn. I'm so jealous of the pottery thing.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for you.
It's going to be great.
Slay. Thanks, guys. Thanks for sitting down, Fran. This has been fun.
Yeah, it's been so fun.
It's been Don't Panic Magazine. Ciao. This is the last one, too. Celebratory.
Woo!
Woo! Thank you, guys. Oh, my God. Episode 6. Can I get up? No. See ya.